Well, how's everyone doing today? Sorry, Mike, I just heard about that, so hope everyone's doing okay. It is life. Just to clarify the sign-in sheet, that is not for the YMCA, that's just for me. So I record these sessions, and then I'll send all the information and whatnot out in an email, so it's just for that purpose. If you did put your email down and you don't want me to have it, I'll just scratch it out for you.
So what's the maximum number of characters in a password? Is there a maximum?
No, there's really not. It depends. So, not truly. It depends on whoever you're creating the password for. They set the standards.
Okay.
So, like Facebook may have one number, Google may have another, Microsoft may have another.
For Google, I got a phone call and the guy said, "I think you've been hacked." He said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, I got an email from you and had a whole bunch of pictures." And he said, "Do you know anything about it?" And I said, "No." So I went changed my password right away, and I just made it about that long.
Yep. It's I should say like most consumer passwords are between 32 and 64 characters.
Okay.
So you probably won't get close.
Okay.
Or you might get close, but
Well, I was upset,
yeah.
so I made it long.
Good.
And I wrote it down. So
Is it someone you knew who was contacting you?
yes.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I know him.
Okay, because I was
He
about
was
to
just
say.
concerned because he said, "Did you send me an email with pictures and stuff yesterday?" And I said, "No."
Interesting.
He said, "Well, I got it." So I deleted it immediately.
So two things with that really quick, if we want to start that way. But Google did. There's some more information on it. You'll have to read, but they did state that there are some old passwords that were compromised with Google. Compromise is the better word for it. It wasn't a hack. It was a other complicated sort of thing. So changing your password is probably a really safe bet. There are also things called spoofing where maybe it does look like it's coming from you, but it's really not from you. So it could have also been there too. But either way, you did the exact right thing. As soon as you were notified by someone you knew and trusted, you changed your password. You should be golden. No, I wouldn't worry about it. You are welcome. Okay, so for the couple new faces I see, I'm gonna wait. Stragglers. Hello. We're good. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Um, So today is like a tech tune-up thing. So really how we've been doing this is I'll talk for a little bit of time with questions for the whole class. Today's kind of small, so I may spend a little more one-on-one, but in other words, it's a group discussion, and then I do one-on-ones. Um, and then we just kind of go with the flow with that. And usually in the one-on-ones, if I find information that is nice for everyone, I do share that. So don't feel like you're going to miss out on anything.
So the Google password, I didn't know I had a. Do I have a Google password?
Uh,
How do I find out?
Yeah, so I would hesitate to say no because Google's so common. Do you have Android devices? Do you download apps? Then you have a Google account.
Okay, so how do I find it?
Probably the easiest way to go find it is to go to google.com. And do you see, like, I just happen to be up here. Hello.
Hi, I'm just waiting to sign in.
Oh, you're fine. So like, see my face up here? Like if you go to google.com and you see your little icon up there, it should say sign in. And if it doesn't say sign in, then you're signed in. And usually it's your username and password. I'll show you really quick. You know what I mean? And I can show you when we do one-on-ones too. But see, like when I tapped, all I did is I tapped on my face. And right now it says manage your Google account, which means I'm signed in already. But if you're not signed in, you won't see that.
And what did you click on?
I'm on google.com. So you can either do that on your phone or your
So my email.
Right. Yep. Yeah, the it's gets kind of complicated with Google because there's more than you could go to gmail.com and do it, you could go to google.com and do it. You're fine. I'll move that.
I don't see it.
I'll show you. Yeah, you're fine. I will show you. Yeah, so if you go to Gmail, so Where's your, oh, see your name up there? Or your letter? Because you don't have a picture like I do loaded.
Okay, so then manager, okay,
Yep.
okay. And you'll show me this on my.
Yep, absolutely. Anyway, okay, sorry. We got, no apologies. We're all good. Okay. Any questions for me to start off the bat? No?
Pass the test.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were setting up my email on my Google account. Remember, we were gonna set up my Yahoo on there,
I don't remember, but we can do that.
but can you show us how to get my other outside email in there? Cause it had an error when I went into Google.
Are you, what email are you using?
My MFC, oh, I'm not on that, I'm sending Kelly a text.
Oh, you're okay. No, you're fine.
When I was on my computer,
Mm-hmm.
I used Google as my search
Right.
rather than Bing.
Sure.
Or the others. But we were putting it so my Yahoo account would come up as an email.
Right.
Okay, so now when I clicked on Google,
Yep.
it came up, it said error with Yahoo.
Interesting.
So is there a way we come in here and be able to link my Yahoo account into that?
No, I think you're mixing things. So when you open your web browser like that, all I'm doing is I'm telling it instead of going, so like when you're on a computer or a phone or whatever, you have like when you open a web browser, which is like Google Chrome, Edge, or whatever, there's always a default of where it goes. So like Google Chrome, it's google.com.
So it's only going to go to my Gmail account. It's not going to allow me to read my Yahoo.
No.
account.
No, what I'm saying is what I did for you is instead of going to Google, excuse me, instead of going to google.com as your default, I had it go to yahoo.com or yahoomail.com. Yeah, and then I'd have to see why it's doing that. But you're mixing.
So it went to google.com. I know, I went to the three dots
Uh-huh.
and went up there.
Oh, okay.
With google.com, so it took it to Google.
Got it.
And then Yahoo.
So, and then what's the
But
problem?
I wanted it so I could get my Yahoo emails.
You could still do that. You just have to go to yahoo.com.
Oh, I still have to do it that way.
Or you can make it so it opens more than one page at a time.
Oh.
But you can't, you can only have one, like,
email per search thing.
It depends on which, I feel like I'm getting confused on what you're asking. But we can clarify. So your Google Chrome is just a web browser. You can go to any email. You can have your Gmail open, your Yahoo open, whatever.
I'm just not big on Bing.
Yeah, that's fine.
Google.
Yeah.
I don't know why, it's just me.
But it's not going to lock you down to just Google. You can use anything you want. It's just a web browser. It's generic. It is a Google product, but it's not going to lock you into one thing. So we'll have to look.
My phone, I have all my emails in there because I have like 4 or 5.
Yeah. Yeah, we'll talk. Okay. Any general questions, things you're just wondering about in technology in general? Is there things you're struggling with that you're curious about? Common things we've talked about. I've gotten lots of questions on like what QR codes are, password questions, things like that. If not, we can definitely move on to one-on-ones. But if there's any, yeah.
Occasionally I'll get stuff like where like I'll get on a it was just the other day I went on a website that I listened to
Sure.
and it had a link and I which was connected to that. It was still within that same framework of that, which is a trusted source.
Sure.
But I got a message that said that that it wasn't secure with the HTTP. What is it? HTTP.
Yeah.
And gave me an option of whether or not to go to it. I went on with it, and I was surprised because this is a site that is all about security and saving money and stuff like that. So I was surprised that they did something that wasn't secure.
So great question. So what you're talking about, and I'll show you up here really quick. And there's kind of a caveat there, and you have to be careful with it. So what she is talking about is if you, let me go here. Okay. So what she's talking about, and I apologize, I put my computer on the charger when I got to work this morning, so it would be charged for the class, and then some stuff happened, and now it's still at work. So I'm working off my phone. But what you're talking about is you're talking about this S right here. Right. So you kind of saw how I had to tap on that again to see it. A lot of web browsers, so everything from this https://www dot, that's all pretty standard for almost every website.
That means it's secure, correct?
Hang on. Yep, I'm getting there. Yeah. But see how you don't always see that? See how when I just went there now, it kind of abstracts that? Because it's not really important in terms of like where you're at. Really, all this is trying to tell you is what website you're at. HTTPS does stand, the S stands for secure, right? And that just means that the traffic, so like when you put passwords in or things like that, if I was sitting on the same network as you, like public coffee shop or anything like that, I wouldn't be able to see what you're typing in and stuff. On an HTTP connection, you can. So that's why most of the time you don't see this anymore, and the web browser itself tells you, hey, you're trying to connect to a website that's HTTP, which isn't secure, and not secure because it's what we call the traffic is visible. Like you can see, potentially see information you're sending or this or that, right? So to answer your question, so that's what the HTTPS part means. The thing that you're the concept I'm concerned with is just because you're at a reputable site doesn't mean that every link within that is reputable. It is usually, how do I want to say that? Usually reputable websites will not put bad links in there. But let's say if you're not on the exact same website and it's taking you to a different website, then it is up to that whole other website whether there's a link on this site or not, whether they keep their security up or not.
And if you're just reading and you're not filling out anything or anything like that, you think it's fairly safe, or just stay away from it?
I'm gonna, as a blanket statement, I'm gonna say if you ever get a security pop-up like that saying you're about to connect to an unsecure site and you don't know what you're doing, I would say stay away from it. The longer answer is most of the time, as long as you're not downloading anything or interacting with it, there's a less likely chance that anything will end up on your computer and infecting. But there are other ways around that where malicious people have found ways of getting information into your computer and stuff like that. So I would not consider it safe, and I would not advise someone to go to that. Now, I'm not saying that just because you did it once, now your computer's all messed up and screwed up and whatnot. It's not usually that serious, but it's just something I would not advise the average person to like interact with. And I'll show you I'll try and find an example of what I'm talking about here. It looks very similar to this. I'm assuming it looked really close to this. Your connection is not secure, and then this is usually the website. Yeah. Something like that. It depends on which.
It was like all agreed. It had like all
yeah.
green, and it was like your it's not secure.
Yeah. It depends on what browser you're using, whether you're using Google Chrome or Edge or Firefox, but it'll look pretty much like this. And it's telling you that you're going to a website that is HTTP only, not considered secure. So watch out for this. And then usually to even go to the website, you have to click on advanced, and then it'll give you another option to go ahead and go further. What they're trying to do is they're trying to prevent click happy people from just being like, okay, fine, let me get out of my way, right? You have to do a little bit of extra work to get there. Does that make sense for everyone? That's a really,
I'm running into more of that now.
yeah. Yeah, which is good. I mean, it's bad if you're trying to get to a certain site and it's preventing you from doing so, but
when I clicked on the advanced,
Mhm.
it wanted more information, like my name and my address and all that kind of stuff. And I'm like, I don't like this. I just backed all the way out of there. Nope.
Yeah, that doesn't sound right. It should not do that. I've never seen an instance where this kind of security feature requires requires additional information to continue. So that sounds like it was a potential phishing. Yep. Okay. Any other questions? Yeah.
Unrelated question.
Sure.
Dylan was at our house and I was trying to find a way to read this very old disc. And he loaned me his disc reader, which is very old also, and works.
Did it work? Nice.
The problem is, on my laptop, there is not anything that size to put it in.
Oh, really?
And
she probably has only C. Yeah.
So
that's surprising.
I put it in on his computer, and I got it to plug in, but I still cannot get to whatever is on this disc.
Okay.
But it only had, I can't think the name of it. You go in and there's an A and a B.
Yes.
Yeah. Well,
right.
It only did A.
Really?
Yeah.
If you don't mind, I can take it today and I can look.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm thinking it's railroad pictures.
Yeah. It's been and that's what I was telling you when I gave you that. It's been a long time since I've used that. Yeah. So we'll have to see.
So it went in, it turned on, but it didn't let me get to anything. Sometimes when you put in a disc on something like that, it'll just bring it right up.
Yeah, but unfortunately we're dealing with older technology now, yeah.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no problem. Did you have a question? Yeah.
Is there any risk leaving your PC on 24/7? Should you shut it down every so often?
So here's the thing about modern computers. So it's always been kind of, and I'm sure a lot of you have it ingrained in your mind that you need to turn off your computer, reboot it, etc., like that. There's really two questions. That number one, older computers just used a ton of energy, so that's really why we turned them off. Like the CRT screens, those used a god-awful amount of energy. Most of the computers nowadays, they don't use a lot of energy, especially when they go into like sleep mode or whatever. Now, as like in terms of risk, really the reason why you would want to reboot your computer periodically is to make sure that it gets updates. So in most computing systems, there's two types of updates. There's feature updates, which is all the things people hate, because those are the ones that your computer does it takes a long time, and then when it comes back on, things look different or act different or whatever, right? Those are the ones we get frustrated with. The most important one, the second type, is security updates. So security updates are, long story short, they're just like Microsoft Windows or Apple. They find bugs in their operating system or their computers, and they fix those. So it used to be you would want to restart more periodically, so you would get those updates. That's when so you get them, and then when you reboot, they are installed. Most Windows computers nowadays, they do that all automatically. They download them, reboot your computer, and your computer comes back up in the morning or whatever, and you probably would never even know they were installed. So long explanation to your question, no, you don't really have to worry about turning off your computer every day.
How old is old? I mean, what time are you talking about as far as the old ones?
Oh, probably like early 2000s. I mean, I'm talking like if you're anything above Windows 7 or anything above Windows 7, so 8, 9, or 8, 10, and 11, you're good, which is almost everyone nowadays. Yeah. That all happens automatically. Good question. I get that a lot too, because I think, again, it was just ingrained in our minds that we need to turn these off all the time and reboot them, but it's really not a concern. Just reboot. If things start acting weird and your computer's been on a long time, just give it a quick reboot. That solves a lot of problems all on its own. Yeah.
So, second question.
Yeah.
Should I ever be leery of accepting an upgrade? I'm always nervous about those kind of upgrades, and I don't do it because I'm afraid. Should you be afraid?
No, you should never be afraid of an upgrade. Okay. You should always be cautious. And what I mean by that, so the reason why we have to be cautious is, unfortunately, in this world, malicious people, bad actors, hackers, however you want to call them, they understand that, or they're smart enough to make certain things look like they're not, or make certain things look real when they're not, right? So 9 times out of 10, if Windows is ready to do its updates, you're going to reboot your computer and it's going to do them as they are. Now, if you have a software like like Adobe, like PDF readers, something like that. That's a very common extra software people have. Most of the time when you reboot your computer, it'll do its updates. There are some things that have to be done manually, but as long as it doesn't give you the feeling of this feels weird, and that's hard to quantify, and I understand that. But usually, if you know like uncanny valley, like that feeling, most of the time when the hackers create like fake upgrade messages or things like that, it's going to give you a sense of like, this seems like it's trying to tell me that it's real, but it doesn't feel like that. And then usually that's the more in your face it is, the more illegitimate it is. Most times when a legitimate software or operating system is ready to update, it'll say, hey, I'm here. Please do this when you have time. The other stuff is usually like, you need to do this now or everything's going to fall apart and you're going to lose all your data and things. And that's really how you tell. It's about sense of urgency, you know? Yeah. So no, don't be afraid of updating because updates are important. They keep our stuff working well. But unfortunately, because of the world we live in, there's a lot of bad people. And so you just have to be a little cautious. And sorry, if you ever have questions in terms of that, always feel free to like snap a picture and call me and like read it off to me or anything like that. If you get that feeling of like, oh, am I really going to mess up right now? So, yeah. Yes.
And the updates in the app store, like what, those are pretty safe.
Yes. So I'm assuming, Mike, you were talking more in a computer sense, like a laptop or a desktop, right? Yeah. So on mobiles, it same information, but mobile phones and when apps are ready to update, you're not really installing new software. So the thing about like Mike's thing is like, let's say Adobe says it's ready for upgrade. Is that the real Adobe or not the real Adobe, right? But when you have an app on your phone, the App Store, like whether it's Apple App Store or the Play Store, it keeps track of what software is actually installed on your phone. So if you have an update for something you've already installed, then the app stores are kind of taking care of that validation for you, making sure it's the real one that you're updating. So it is safer. Yeah. Yeah. What else?
I have a question. What
Yeah.
happens when your computer says that it does not accept, or you get a message that the computer is not accepting upgrades because you don't have the right iOS? Like my iOS is 12 and I'm on 15.
Do you have? Is it a Mac or is it a?
It's an Apple.
It's an Apple.
Yes.
So, I'd have to see what you have, or if you know. But is it like a MacBook, like a laptop?
Yes.
So Apple actually has. It usually takes a long time, but Apple specifically has certain hardware that they only allow updates on. So most likely, do you know how old it is?
My computer.
Yeah, like
2018.
okay, that is not terribly old. I'd have to look it up, but at some point, Apple does have like, and I think they're on Mac OS 26. I think is what they're on now. They jumped for those who have Apple stuff. They jumped from 18 to 26. Long story short, they were going in order, and then they decided to make things clearer. They were going to do it after the year. So in other words, versions are going to be the same as the year that they're in now. So 26. So I don't remember, or I don't know if you know what version you're currently on, but most likely you are out of date. And either the two biggest things with Macs that I see is either there's not enough room on the Mac to download the update and install it, or it is old enough and Apple no longer supports newer versions on that hardware.
So I may have to change a computer that's like 8 years old.
Yeah.
7 years old.
Potentially.
Yeah.
You don't, sorry, let me
install on that existing computer.
yeah, let me quantify. You don't have to upgrade to the newest versions. You will run into certain compatibility issues as the longer it goes, but compatibility issues meaning like certain apps may not work the same way or whatnot.
Right, like I can't. There's a bank account that I can't access because it doesn't. My computer does not support it. Like I got to do my checks on my phone because my computer says I no longer have whatever
Interesting.
I need to access it.
Do you just go to like chase.com to do stuff? Or is it something that you download?
It's already downloaded.
Interesting. That may be true. But yeah, long story short, Apple's super strict about their hardware and whatnot requirements. So there's really no, without doing it to void your I don't want to say warranty because it's old enough for warranty, but no, there's no like official way. Once Apple says a certain hardware is too old, there's no official way to like upgrade it to the next version if they put that in there.
That's like guaranteed obsolescence, right? You know,
Yes, you could argue that, but I'm just the messenger. I promise. I've also fallen into this where I've had older Mac stuff and um, yeah, it perfectly great laptop, and then just they don't support the hardware, so you can't upgrade to the newer operating system.
Ask them what they would recommend for you to do.
Yeah.
Right now I'm doing it on my phone because my phone supports it. I just can't do it on my laptop. I would call the banks if it's that bank is the only one that's doing that. I would call the bank and say, look, I think it's Chase in general. It's not specifically tied to the bank. It's just the Chase card itself.
Yeah.
Or call their customer service and see if they
Yeah.
reach out to them.
Kathy, most likely what's happening is she has the Chase app on the laptop. Right, but what I'm saying is,
the current.
right. But you may be able on the laptop, you may be able to go to chase.com through your web browser rather than the app and still do it from the laptop. Yeah, that's what I was saying. But the application, it's going to be tied to the operating system. So if the operating system, like your Mac OS version 15 or whatever, and if Chase doesn't support 15 anymore, then you can't do anything about that other than upgrading the Mac OS. Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you can try. Worst they can tell you is no. But my answer to you requires for like a really concrete answer requires a few specifics. So I can talk to you about that when we go around. And yeah, great questions. What else? I'll give it another 10 minutes or so, and then we can go around individually. Yeah.
You helped us get a new printer.
Sure.
And the old printer in our file had this disc in it, which is for the old printer.
Yeah.
Should I throw that away?
Yeah. So number one, computers really don't come with disks drives anymore. But most of the time when printers, if you bought anything that's hardware, like a printer, scanner, whatever, they always came with a disk. And that was usually what you have to install to get the printer to work. But nowadays, all of that is pretty much on the internet. So you would go to, I think yours was, what was your old one, brother?
It was Canon.
Canon. So in other words, I would go to canon.com and almost everything like that, like there's a support section and then drivers is what you're looking for. I don't think you need to do that now, but long story short, you can throw it away. It's just additional software for you to run the printer, but they all keep that on the internet now rather than physically giving you a thing anymore. Because most of the time they're just frisbees because they don't have disk drives anymore. Or yeah.
Is there a place to discard electronics? Like I have old tube TVs in towers, and I don't know what to do with them.
There is and I'll try and find them really quick. There is a company downtown, which again, that's downtown, right? So it's a little bit of a drive, but they do accept most things for free. There is a couple of things like for some reason, not too long ago, I helped my grandmother discard a whole bunch of VHS tapes and stuff. There are a couple of things that they'll charge for, but they take most things. Probably, yeah, especially if it has a tube in it, like CRTs or yeah. But I'll find them really quick. But there is a company downtown where it's kind of like a rural or not rural and like a. No, it's like a business district. So it doesn't really. It's not like a storefront. Yeah, but like for businesses, so you don't really go in there and.
There's a place in there that pays for them too.
Yeah.
There's one place that pays for them.
Yeah. So.
And then if you just look up like electronic recycling, and you'll get a bunch of stuff.
Yeah. Who is that?
That's just what I just did. You see what I did? I did electronic recycling.
Yeah.
And then that you'll pull up a bunch of stuff on there.
Okay.
But there's places, and I think Platte County.
Sorry.
Has,
I messed it all up.
I think Platte County has a like once a year
MRC.
or something where
That's the one I've been to before is MRC. MRC. Yeah.
I think I need to figure that out.
But Springfield will have that too, and then they'll say like if you're doing drop off with TVs and stuff like that, it's like a $10 fee or something.
Yeah. The other caveat that a lot of those places, and this place we have taken those to, but one of the only other caveats is usually printers. A lot of places don't like taking printers for whatever reason, and but this this MRC will, or we've done it before. I've used them personally and as a business. As a business, we have tons of e-waste, and we'll palletize it, and they'll take and pick it up. And
Now they take everything with a plug.
Pretty much.
What they say. So
Pretty much.
heavy power equipment too.
I think so. I think so, but I would call them ahead of time and confirm that. Yeah, but they've been super nice with me in the past, and they've even, I think, not charged me a couple times for things they probably should, just because I had one thing, right? The reason why they charge a lot of the time is because, like, if businesses roll up with like a whole pallet of printers, they're gonna be like, all right, come on, man, like, we're abusing the power at this point. But anyway, but yeah, that's who I would use. MRC, they're really good, and they're local.
Best Buy will take electronics also. They have a rack in there.
Sometimes.
Yeah, I'm good at giving them computers.
Yeah, sometimes Best Buy. Sometimes Best Buy will take phones, toner cartridges. We use them a lot for the toner cartridges, and Staples even will sometimes take toner cartridges, because those are another. I know a lot of people don't use toner anymore. It's mostly ink, but toner cartridges are these giant bulky things that some printers use, and it just feels wrong to discard the whole thing, right? But a lot of places like that will take them too. Even your and let me back up. Even your ink cartridges, a lot of places will take those too, or like Staples and Best Buy and whatnot. I just hate throwing that stuff away, personally. So, what else? What other questions?
How do you, like, if I have a computer tower that I want to get rid of, is there private information of mine in there, and what do I do before I discard it?
Yeah, great question. If there's private information on there, is a hard question to ask without, or answer without knowing what you use it for. Yeah, but do you like have TurboTax software or QuickBooks or anything like that? Yeah, so probably technically some of your tax information is on that disk. And just as a fun fact, to go full circle here, if you delete something on a computer, it is not necessarily gone for good. So what I mean by that is there are really fancy technical ways that even if you can't find it on your computer anywhere, if the right person got their hands on it, they could technically find it. Now, right. Now, for most like individuals, we're too low of a payout for anyone to be interested in doing that. But if you want to make sure you're peace of mind, then there is, I think. So long story short, what you have to do is you have to pull out the storage out of the computer and destroy it. Now there are some companies that'll do that for you. I think even Batteries Plus used to do that for you at some point. Or if you, and I think you could take it to Best Buy. I would call Batteries Plus and Best Buy and see if they'll destroy that stuff for you. Or, like I know you like to do, you can, if you feel comfortable, you can take it out and hit it with a hammer, or a saw or whatever. Yeah. Or you could call someone like me and I could pull it out for you and destroy it. But yeah, you want to destroy that. The computer itself is fine to just recycle like anything else. It's just where your data is at. Yeah. For a tower, it's easier because it's usually a separate whole thing. For like a MacBook or something, it's all kind of part of the same thing.
This is for a tower that
Yeah.
I had, and I haven't used this for a while. It's been replaced, but my husband said, "Oh, we can't get rid of it because this information."
Yeah, and he's not wrong. I mean, and there could potentially be, but yeah, you would want to. I could help you, or you would want to find someone who could take that and destroy physically destroy the data. There's also a term called degaussing, which essentially, so old style hard drives, they work with magnets, and essentially what you do is you take a really giant, powerful magnet, and it wipes everything too. So, yeah.
How old does the computer hard drive have to be to do that?
I mean, there's still hard drives around now. Most of it has moved to solid state drives, but in those ones you just have to physically destroy. But good question. Yeah. And those of you who have hired me and whatnot before, I usually, if I ever switch out equipment, I usually do that for you too. I destroy the data so it doesn't end up anywhere. What else?
Talk about hacking a little bit.
Sure. We can absolutely talk about hacking.
I have been hacked.
Okay.
Really bad. And I was wondering, I feel like, is it safer to be on your computer or is it safer to be on your phone?
It really depends, and I'm sorry to hear about that. That's a very frustrating process. I have helped many people prevent that and help with the aftermath. So I've seen what it can do to your sanity and things like that. So anyway, I get it. It sucks. If you don't mind, can you give me any or do you feel comfortable giving me any details on how it went down? Like what happened?
Yeah, I can tell you what happened. It was my fault. I had I was going through some, my credit cards was hacked, and so I had a couple
Mhm.
different credit cards that
So you were
sent me
seeing
new ones.
right. So you saw like bad transactions and things.
Yes, exactly. And so what happened was Spectrum sent me a note and saying that my bill hadn't been paid. And I thought, oh my God, it was that credit card.
Right.
You know, and I had got the new credit card.
So you were like, I got it. Okay.
So I thought, oh well, yeah, that's right, because I knew my Spectrum bill was due.
Sure.
So I went in and I filled out the information and I hit it and sent it. And then it occurred to me, my Spectrum bill is not on a credit card; it's in my bank account.
Sure.
So I called Spectrum right away, and they said, "No, we have your money. Your bill's been paid. You're being hacked."
Yeah.
And so they just were into everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's been amazing. It's horrible.
So I'm really sorry to hear that. That is super frustrating. I will tell you to make you feel better. That kind of occurrence is very common. You're not the
That's not comforting.
no, but what I mean is, yeah. But for you, don't feel like it was like something silly or. I've seen tons of those attempts, and I've seen better people than myself fall for them. So that's what it is. The reason I asked you if you could explain to me the situation is because unfortunately in the world we live in, fortunate and unfortunate, there's not a lot of like computer related hacking anymore, right? Like there's very little. So like Microsoft, Google, all these big companies, they work day in and day in and day out to make sure that hackers can't do those bad things. It does happen from time to time. Really, what most hackers or malicious people, or however you want to call it, are doing are trying to get you in the middle, right? So they didn't hack your computer or your phone, they got to you. And that's their main goal. And that's how 90% of any of this goes down now. So to answer your question, whether it would have been on your phone or your computer, it probably wouldn't have made a big difference, to be honest with you. And I don't really think for most compromises it really does make a big difference, whether it was you or your phone. Um, I think it's on in March, but I have I taught the cybersecurity 101, and I think I'm doing like 102. I'm doing like the next thing above that. But anyway, my point in saying that is I've taught a lot is that um, we always wonder how some of these scams, when they're so blatant, how they work. And the reason why they do is because if you're attacking a million people, they're going to find a situation where everything just lines up just perfect enough, credit card change, bill due, that it builds the story for you and then you end up doing it. So, um, sorry, I answered your question in terms of like, is it more safe than the other? No. But then I wanted to take the chance and kind of explain like how to react to that situation and things like that. Um, does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay.
I was wondering on my computer, I have some documents.
Yeah.
That I wouldn't want anybody to see.
Sure.
And can they get into my documents on my computer?
Not without you. And that was kind of my whole point, right? Like there's very little hacking that actually happens where people just have direct access. Really, if they're going to get those documents, most likely what's going to happen is for some reason, there's 100 different ways they do it. One of the most common ways is for them to pop up this message on your screen saying, hey, your computer's out to date or you have a virus, please call this number so we can fix it. I see that all the time. Yes. And then so what they're trying to do is get you to call them and they're going to say, okay, no problem. We'll fix that for you. All I need you to do is download this software, give us this number so we can have access to your computer. And that's when they would potentially get. Yeah, that's when. Yeah, you should hang up way before that. Yeah. Yeah. But it would be in that instance where they would have potentially access to those things.
Okay, will turning your computer off not allow them to get into it at that stage?
Yes. So if for some reason someone did get into your computer and you're like, oh wait, I'm too far, this is not good, you can I don't pull the plug necessarily, but like turn it off, unplug the internet, call a professional, and then they can turn it back on in safe mode, and then tell you whether there's still a connection or backends or software or anything like that that would allow them to come in.
But they even recommended, and I did, I took my phone down and got a scrub at AT&T.
Sure.
Set it back for manufacturer.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, again, that's adding some more inconvenience, right? Not a bad thing to do, but I really don't think that was the issue. I think, was it in an email invoice that you got? That's very common for fraudulent people to send fake invoices that look real, have them call you and provide them with a credit card number or whatever. So, really, it's not the computer at that point, it's the person. Um, and that's why I try as hard as I can to educate people on, you know, what those look like and things like that. So yeah, so it's unfortunate, but
It seems like I'm getting more and more of those weird looking emails. It's getting worse, even though you have all the spam protection on there. And you try to go on there and you click on subscribe and you put your email in, and then you end up with 3 more, and you're like, really?
I you guys will just have to believe me, but the amount of spam that is trickling into your inbox, though is annoying 100%, and though can seem like a lot, it's not nearly the amount that tries to go in there. I mean, think you're having big companies like Google and Microsoft, and they work day in and day out to try and prevent any of that stuff.
Well, now they're even changing the font.
Yeah.
So the font looks different than the typical emails that you get.
Yeah. At the
Delete them, I don't even.
I know. At the risk of sounding dramatic, we're in a war that will probably never end, and it's us against them. And unfortunately, it's not the government's fighting this war; it's us as people fighting that war. And we just have to. I mean, I hate to say deal with it because it sounds very like nonchalant, but that's why I've been focusing more on educating people rather than preventing, because there is only so much you can do to prevent, and they get smarter and smarter, and then Google gets smarter and smarter, so they're fighting it. So what the few emails that are trickling in are minuscule compared to the sheer mass of information out there.
Yeah, I get like 300 every 2 hours.
I know.
It's ridiculous.
I know. You're fine. Welcome.
Computer games.
Yeah.
Often will give you more tries at something if you, are those really things that by
You can see.
read to see somebody ads, does that?
Ah, man, that is so difficult to answer without knowing exactly what you're looking at, because the whole personal scam thing is trying to entice you. So some of them could be legitimate, some of them could not be legitimate. The only thing I can tell you with that, with anything, whether it's a game or some other service, is that you want to buy it directly if you are, and there's always going to be a small risk associated. But if you have to buy it directly from them, if you're like playing X game and then you tap on something that says, "Oh, I'll give you free 1,000 something," and it takes you to a completely different place when you tap on it, that's your sign right there that it's most likely not legit. But now if it pops up in the same window or very similar looking, or probably more safe. But again, it's hard to tell. Yeah. And I know that's not a great answer.
I always look for that company name and then get out of your email, go to the website direct and make sure it has the
But-
HTTPS on it. So
What I'm more thinking is the actual agreeing to, the game will give you more tries at something
Right.
if you just watch it, but just watching the ad.
Not normally. It's not normally fraudulent. Usually, so you should start feeling that icky pit in your stomach of like, hey, maybe I'm getting into a weird place, like when they start asking for too much information, right?
I never respond to them, I just watch the ads.
Exactly. So that is, yeah. Yeah. That is probably more safe. Yeah. I would say as long as they're not asking for personal information, promising something crazy or something like that, you're probably okay.
Some of the ads sometimes are to clean up your computer, and
Those ones are pretty fraudulent. Yeah. Yeah. And some of those stuff are just fraudulent in the sense that they're not going to scam you and take your information and do identity theft. just in a scam like where if you buy the tool just doesn't do what they say. It's not that they're scamming you like out of all your life savings or something. It's just maybe you pay $20 for a tool that's not good. That also happens too, where it's not malicious in the sense it's going to hack you, but you're wasting money. But so in other words, you're doing exactly what I think you should be doing. So you're good. Okay. Any more big discussions, or we do want to do one-on-ones?
Dylan, I just found out Parkville's doing a recycling event this Saturday.
Great. Perfect. I
9
do.
to noon at the dog park parking lot.
So yeah, so all the way back in the back, right? Yeah. Yeah. So you go to.
Your ID
And it's MRC is doing it.
If you don't live in Parkville, they won't check. If you don't live
If
in
you,
Parkville.
if you have your driver's license with and it has like a Parkville mailing address, they'll take it.
That's what she was saying.
We did that once, because mine said Parkville, and he said, I know you, you don't live in Parkville, and then we wouldn't take it.
Really?
No, they're refused.
Interesting. But which is interesting, but I'm sure that's more of a Parkville thing. But if it's MRC doing it, MRC does take from public. So I've worked with them.
It's M as in mother, RC.
Yep.
Okay.
Mike, Romeo, Charlie. Okay. You want to do
You have a car?
yeah, I've got some right here.
Thank you, Dylan.
Yeah, of course. Does anyone else want one?
Thank you.
Did I get you taken care of?
Yeah.
Do you have any?
I just came to listen.
Okay.
I never brought-
Very good.